Do you have people in your life that just drain your energy? You may call them Debbie Downers or negative Nancy's, really just someone who is always negative, always looking at the negative or dark side of things and just bringing your energy down. If you have people in your life like that, this video I'm going to share with you 4 tips, 4 ways you could bolster your positive energy so that you are not being affected by these negative people as much in the past, so you can move forward with more positivity. Welcome back to another video. My name is Kevin Carton and I help people live their soul's purpose. And I really believe this topic today is a really important topic to cover, because when you're working on building a dream or living out your purpose and becoming a better version of yourself, you could be working on so much positivity within that then when you are in the presence of someone who's so negative, it can erode all the good work that you're doing. So let's dive into these 4 tips, 4 ways you can bolster your positive energy so that you can stop being so drained by these negative people. The first tip is very straightforward. I'm sure you've considered it before, but I encourage you to really think into this of how you're applying this in your life. And the first tip is limit the time that you have with these people or cut them out completely. Now, some of these scenarios or some of these relationships, you may not be able to cut them out completely. Like it may be a work relationship, like an employee or even a family member. And so it's okay if that is that way, but you want to limit your interactions with them as much as you can, because no matter how much bolstering of your positive energy that you can do, no matter how much inner work that you do, there's a certain energy that these people bring, that these negative people bring, and it's impossible to stay positive all the time if you're continuously surrounded by the same types of people. So as best as you can, move away from that situation. And an example is when it was about 5-6 years ago, I worked for a company. I worked at a job where I was in a living situation where I was surrounded by dozens of my own coworkers, and I was surrounded by negativity. They were just limited thinking, and just their energy was always just draining for me. And I did that job for about 9 months, but I knew about halfway through, about 5 or 6 months in, I was like, this is not for me anymore. And so it took some time, but I eventually left that company. I left that job and I moved back to New York because that job was in Texas. So I completely relocated because of that negative energy that I was surrounded by. But if it's like family or friends or any other coworkers, then at least limit the amount of time that you have with them, because every single one of us has an energy field. Our energy field goes out beyond our body. It's about 6 to 10 feet. And that energy field, it affects others. And we are affected by others people's energy as well. And so if you're constantly in the same situation, it's going to be those same signals to yourself or same stimulus from these negative people and their thoughts and their feelings, and it's going to crowd into your energy. So there are things you can do, of course, which I'll share with you, the other 3 tips, how to bolster that energy field around you. But of course, like I said, the first tip is getting away, because there's only so much bolstering you can do so that you're not being limited by these people. So that's the first tip. Second tip is to notice within yourself the negativity, because you can only attract into your life and resonate with that which is within you already. So if you're around negative people, or there's certain limiting beliefs or thoughts that these people around you are exhibiting, their chances are, if you're triggered by that, then there is a certain resonance within you for that. What I mean by this is I'll give you an analogy, is when you take 2 grand pianos and put them in the same room, if you play one chord on one grand piano, the other piano that you didn't even touch will be vibrating. Those strings, that chord will be vibrating as well, because that piano has the same strings that are resonant with the vibration of the strings of the other piano that you're playing. So as that piano is played, that vibration, that resonance affects the other piano only because it has the same strings that are aligned with the vibration of that chord or that sound. So if you're in a situation where you're being triggered by negativity, there's got to be some level of resonance within you with that. So notice your own negativity. You don't have to go looking for this stuff, but at least start to notice where you're negative or critical or cynical and just pessimistic about your own life or even to others. Because I honestly believe that sometimes in our lives, we are the negative ones in our circle. So we have to just start noticing that so we can start letting that go, not beating yourself up for it, but just notice and then let it go. Set it down so that we're not choosing in alignment with that vibration and being that person ourselves. So that's tip number 2, is to let go of that negativity ourselves. Tip number 3 is to use priming statements to prime your positivity. An example of this is, or let me describe it first. Priming is a way of generating an energetic state of being that is more positive and uplifted than you normally are. So we all have a familiar way we live, the thoughts that we think, the feelings we feel, the good feeling that we allow ourselves to feel. So when you prime yourself, what you're doing is you're building yourself up within before you go into a situation where you know there might be some negative people. So if you're going into work or you're going to visit family and you know there's going to be some negativity, before you go into that interaction, you can work on bolstering your positivity within. And this builds that energy field. So priming statements could be like, I am bringing my very best to this moment. I am going to be compassionate in this situation. I am going to choose to live in alignment with my vision. I'm going to choose positivity, happiness, joy, and I'm going to be understanding to other people. So whatever quality or characteristic you want to embody, literally just start to think of that before you go into the situation and decide you're going to do your very best to be that person, that version of yourself in that situation. And the more you think about it, the more you will feel in alignment with the kind of experience you want to have. And an example of this is I go home, first off, I live here in Colorado. My family is in New York. And I love my parents, I love my old friends, I love my brothers, and there's a certain level of thinking, certain level of living or being that the people in my life, my family, my friends from my past have. That is not bad, it's just that there are certain things that they believe that I don't believe anymore. And I've evolved in my own way, not to say that they're not evolved, but there's just a mismatch. And so when I go home, so I want to have the most expansive experience I can have possible because I love my parents, I love my friends, I love my brothers, I love my family. So when I go into that weekend or that week spending with family, I literally take some time on the flight to New York to journal, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. Who am I going to be this weekend or this week? I'm going to be understanding, I'm going to be loving, I'm going to be compassionate, I'm going to share my own positivity with them. Because you see, with that energy field that I mentioned, and you can look it up, it's called the toroidal field or a person's personal aura or energy. It's the kind of geometrical shape of it is a torus. It kind of goes up and around about, again, 6 to 10 feet. So I want my energy to influence those around me to help lift them up. And so I journal on that and I write it out. I claim it. I am going to be, or I am being this. So you claim it. You're priming yourself for it. So that's the third tip. I hope that makes sense. And before I move on, let me know in the comments below, and this tip number 3 specifically, what would be a priming statement for you? What resonates with you and how you want to be in the presence of situations where there are negative people? Who do you want to be? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And one other thing is that if you want to bolster that positivity and learn how to make those priming statements more powerful, you have to come from your vision of who you want to be. And that's very hard when you don't have a vision. So if you would love to download my Soul Purpose Blueprint that helps you in building up your vision and clarifying it, that is in alignment with the version of yourself you want to be, the link is below in the description. Now, tip number 4 is, hold on, forgot about it. Movement, just moving. Movement helps a lot in building that energy field because our body is an electromagnetic magnet, really. and we attract to ourselves thoughts, people, circumstances, things in alignment with our own personal energy. And movement, literally exercise, yoga, even just walking, moving your body, even just like jumping up and down a bit, it starts to build more energy. Because you think about how our blood system is flowing, that in each atom of the makeup of our body has a certain energy to it. And when you move, these molecules of our body just start to move faster. And as things move faster, there's just more of a pulse of energy going out. You feel it in your heart. And so when you are moving, you are starting to expand out your energy more and more and more. And you're starting to build more of that field as a strength and strong, so that when you're around the negativity or people are saying certain things, like you're standing strong within that. And again, this goes back to point number one, though, is that you don't want to continuously subject yourself to all these negative influences all the time, but movement really helps in bolstering that, so that, again, when you go into these situations, you're not as affected. And final note about that, choose what movement works for you. I practice yoga often. I take daily walks. I work out sometimes in terms of lifting weights, but most of my movement practice is more mindful, and that's personally my choice. So whatever works for you. You know, it could be running, could be jogging, it could be, I don't know, Pilates. Like, there's so many different options for movement. Just moving your body, even for just 5 minutes, really helps. So those are the 4 tips, my friend. Just as a recap, is number 1, getting away from the situation, getting away from these negative people, or at least limiting your time. Second is to notice your own negative influences in your own life, or rather your own negativity, so that when you're releasing that negativity, you're not then being a match to other people's negativity, so that you're not drawing that in. Third is to use the priming statements in your vision to bolster your positivity and claim who you want to be in these situations. And the 4th and final tip is movement, moving your body so you can bring up this positive energy and just feel better in your life. So I hope this has been valuable to you, my friend. If it has, feel free to like this video, and I'd love it if you share it with a friend, and especially comment below. I'd love to have a conversation, hear how this has helped you and what you gained out of this. And if you want more videos, of course, subscribe, and I will talk with you soon. Have a great day. Peace.